We've got an audience tonight of LIFT members and followers and trustees and some arts folk and fans from here and around the world. So you're all very welcome. Thank you for being here with us. It's been great to host Colectivo this week and connect them more into the UK performance scene. We were introduced to them by the Swiss funder Pro Helvetia, and thanks to them, we've hosted them in this Swiss Selection Edinburgh virtual residency, along with Dance 4 in Nottingham, who's been hosting dance duo La Pepe, and Make in Bristol, who've been hosting theater artist Monica Trong. Thanks to Amber and Ruby and everyone at Pro Helvetia for the invitation and to matchmake us with this great collective. This is the first event in a new artist advancement strand at LIFT, which are opportunities, events, and initiatives which will aim to strengthen the context for live artists and theater makers and encourage and deepen ties between London and UK-based makers and their international counterparts. We've also just announced, maybe an hour and 3 minutes ago, a new commissioning program to seed ideas for what we're calling concept touring. 8 or so artists from the UK and beyond will receive £2,500 commissions and mentorship to develop ideas for international collaborations and projects where the ideas and concepts travel, but maybe the artists do not. You can find out more on our website, liftfestival.com, which I know you're very familiar with. There on our website, you can also find a handy dandy support us link where you can sign up and become a LIFT member. You can donate and slip us a $5 or more if you like. Tonight's work in progress is absolutely free, of course, but we have a festival coming up in June 22, so allow me to invite your support. But enough about us, on to what you'll see tonight. For their digital residency at LIFT, the Swiss artists Igor Cardellini and Tomas Gonzalez invited Colectivo Utópico. It's an international group that they founded 2 years ago with Brazilian artists Rita Aquino and Felipe de Assis, and the Argentinian artists Marina Quesada and Paula Baró. Through their work, the Colectivo questions togetherness and alternative ways of forming ephemeral communities. And part of the residency was that we got to match them with a London artist, and we've been delighted to pair them with iconoclastic artist, writer, performance maker, and curator, Ira Brand. Performance telling aims to share, recycle existing theater works through the prisms of artists based in different parts of the world. This edition of performance telling is composed of 4 variations, 4 projects, inspired by forced entertainments and meeting for all. Enormous thanks to Tim, Claire, Robin, Terry, Richard, Kathy, and everyone at Forcent for their work. It's not usual they'd offer themselves up like this for an adaptation. So thanks you all up in Sheffield for being in the spirit of the pandemic and for going for it. Some of these works are live. Some are happening in your screen. It's a hybrid mix. It's very 2021. Thank you to Hack the Empire and Théâtre Vidi and everyone else's apartments for hosting aspects of this remote collaboration. There will be a Q&A after the showing, hosted as a webinar. So please stick around afterwards and get to meet these fantastic artists. Now on to the showing.
This bit. This is the best bit.
Exhausted. Feeling a bit like, yeah, I've not had the best.
Hello? 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 Hang on, I'm just gonna... Okay, go.
At 2 a.m. and I couldn't get back to sleep, and you know, the thing where you go for a piss but you keep your eyes kind of shut, or you're squinting a bit, like to stop yourself, to trick. Maybe this is what it will increasingly feel like to be a person.
You read all those books?
Googled it, and now, of course, I'm convinced that I have arthritis or bone
I'm
cancer.
just going to... This... Cheap fucking wig. I said it's a cheap fucking wig. Maybe behind the ears is... No, not better. Side. Side.
Couldn't remember what any of my lines were.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this bit. Yeah. This is the best bit.
Yeah.
Has it started? Has it started? As it started? As it started? Tá bom. As it started? As it started?
Have you seen anyone? Claire? Claire?
Yeah,
I just said, have you seen anyone?
yeah. I see people all the time. I mean, all the time. I mean, I don't touch them.
I don't think you can hear me. I said, when did you last speak to someone?
Like just a minute. Well, a minute ago. Now, I'm talking to you, Kathy.
To someone.
I'm talking to you, Kathy.
When did you last speak to someone? When did you last speak to anyone?
Spoken to loads of people. I mean, I'm on the phone to people all the time, like much more than normal. People want to talk all the time. It's talk. Let's communicate. Let's meet up. Let's have a meeting.
You're there, but you're just so quiet.
It's just like constant noise.
Can't hear a word. Can't hear a word.
Are you getting this, Kathy?
Can't hear a word.
Is anyone getting this? I have to say, it's really hard to stay in character. It's like it's really. I haven't got much to go on. Are you getting this, Kathy? Is anyone getting this?
Kathy, imagine that nobody else could hear us, yeah?
Yeah, okay.
Just want to ask you a question, is that okay?
Yeah.
Just me and you, right? Nobody else is listening. Just imagine that nobody else is listening, yeah?
Yeah. If no one else were listening, you could just ask me anything you like, really.
Yeah. When, if you think about your whole life, across the whole of it,
Yeah.
when is there a time when you're most happy? When were you happiest? If you think across your whole life, because nobody else is listening, you don't have to be like political with your answer. You can just tell me the truth. What is there a time? When were you happiest?
Listening.
So what?
Listening.
Can't hear you. When were you happiest? Can't hear you. It's just you could just tell me. It's just you could just tell me. You could just tell me. Yeah.
It's just the two of us.
Yeah. It's just between us,
There was a time. I'm glad. What's that? There was a time.
Can you hear me? Can anybody hear me? I feel like I'm just talking and there's nobody listening. I feel like I could just be saying anything. Are you getting this? Is anyone getting this? I have to say, it's really hard to stay in character. It's like it's really like I haven't got much to go on. You know, there's been no direction, no notes. Basically, it's just a week. That's all I've got. 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 The wig is everything. It's nothing without the wig. That's all I've got. That's all I've got. I feel like I'm just talking. There's nobody listening. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Imaginemos una gran isla al norte del continente más rico del mundo. En ella, 6 artistas que trabajan juntos hace 35 años inician una reunión. Encerrados en sus casas, en el contexto del aislamiento causado por la primera pandemia del siglo XXI.
Se los voy a contar así. El hombre ubicado arriba en el centro dice, ¿empezamos? Es el director. La actriz que está abajo responde, sí, yo ya había empezado. Lleva puesta una peluca blanca, pretende haber envejecido. Hace 1 año y 1 día que estoy en cuarentena. Extraño el contacto con humanos, dice. Un compañero atiende una llamada. Escuchamos su risa. Es difícil mantener la concentración, más ahora. Cuando nos encontrábamos en las salas, los teléfonos celulares estaban prohibidos. Si alguno sonaba era el fin del mundo. En cambio ahora, sin los teléfonos, no podríamos encontrarnos. Claire, la de la peluca, maldice. No le causa gracia la interrupción. Tim, el director, pregunta a Katy, otra actriz, si lo escucha bien. Katy responde, Claire, no te oigo. No queda claro si es así. Esto es algo que a todos nos permite la virtualidad, hacer que el canal de comunicación se vea interrumpido por razones ajenas a nuestro deseo, en vez de fingir demencia, fingir falta de internet. Claire retoma su texto. Hace 1 año y 1 día que estoy en cuarentena. Extraña el contacto con humanos. Katy cuestiona la calidad de interpretación de Claire. Claire dice que sí, que está actuando mucho y que lo que está haciendo es más duro que la actuación tradicional. Y tiene razón, es una mierda actuar por Zoom. Blo, 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 blo. Claire reinicia su texto. Hace 1 año y 1 día que estoy en cuarentena. Hay una persona en cuero, se llama Richard. ¿Alguien puede verme? Dice un cartel escrito con su letra. Katy pregunta a Claire si está viendo gente últimamente. Claire dice que sí, que ve personas todo el tiempo. ¿Sí? Pero ¿cuándo fue la última vez que hablaste con alguien? Ahora, en este momento estoy hablando con vos. Suena una notificación. ¿Alguien tiene un mensaje? En otro cuadro vemos una etiqueta de Ginebra Nacional. Una chica con anteojos toma un trago y dice salud. Tim responde salud, Terry. Robin se suma al brindis. Richard se pone un traje de esqueleto. Claire siente que nadie la escucha. Y un poco es así. Yo sí. Yo la escucho. La muerte se aleja y se acuesta en la cama. Poco a poco todo se calma. Terry pregunta, ¿qué hora es allá? Robin responde, nunca demasiado temprano como para tomarse un trago.
Ahora Tim le dice a Katy, ya que nadie nos puede oír, te quería preguntar, ¿cuándo fuiste realmente feliz? Entre vos y yo, porque nadie más nos está escuchando, o acordemos eso, porque soy el director y vos la actriz. Decime, ¿cuál fue el momento en tu vida donde fuiste feliz? No necesitas ser correcta. ¿Fue hace tiempo? Yo sé que tengo razón en hacerte esta pregunta, que tengo una razón para hacerla. Decime, cuando eras joven, conmigo, cuando eras joven, ¿con quién? Decime porque es el fin del encuentro de todo, el fin de los discursos, las colonias, el fin de la utopía de la ciudad. El amor, decime, fue cuando. Yo te diría cuando fui realmente feliz, pero sé que no querés oírlo. Decime vos, yo sí quiero escucharte. ¿Vos cuándo? ¿Cuándo fuiste realmente feliz?
Decime. Al mismo tiempo, en otra parte del cuadro, Richard intenta reparar lo inútil, volver a darle valor a las cosas. El resto le pregunta, ¿para qué intentarlo? ¿Para qué intentarlo ahora? Él responde porque todo es un mecanismo, y todo mecanismo puede ser reparado. ¿Eso es un mensaje? Los perros ladran, las ventanas se abren, las personas desaparecen. Una voz que viene de lejos dice, ¡ay, felicidad! La felicidad es un concepto. El equilibrio no se puede poseer. Zoom a nada. Y mientras tanto, el mundo sigue girando. La muerte, siempre presente, se hace visible y susurra. Hola. Es posible que no llegues a encontrarle un sentido a las cosas. ¿Qué van a hacer cuando esto termine? Voy a caminar. ¿Qué van a hacer cuando esto acabe? Envejecer. Dice la voz. Las ideas viejas mueren, es orgánico. Las ideas no existen más allá del sentimiento. El virus se parece al sol, no cabe duda. ¿Eso es un mensaje? Sin decirlo, todos estábamos deseando lo mismo, ir más despacio. Ahora, la muerte al lado nuestro todo el tiempo. Se acuesta en las casas, se levanta en los trabajos y es, como siempre ha sido, la protagonista de esta historia. Extraño el temor a envejecer. Ahora todos queremos poder llegar a ser viejos. En la concepción andina del tiempo, el pasado está delante, porque se puede ver, y el futuro detrás, porque no se conoce. No existe la utopía. No existe nada que todavía no existe. Utopía es el título de un libro inglés. Un libro escrito solo un cuarto de siglo después de la llegada de unos hombres a este territorio. Un libro donde imaginan una isla desde otra isla. Una isla con un sistema perfecto. ¿Qué sería que un sistema no funciona? ¿A partir de cuándo se cuenta? Esa voz es la mía. Creemos un movimiento. El movimiento se llama el movimiento se llama envejecer. El movimiento se llama escuchar todas las voces. El movimiento no se puede nombrar, es un viento, te despeina y a partir de allí, magia. La ciudad es una isla de cemento. una isla que fue la utopía de alguien más. Sería algo más o menos así. Un día el aislamiento se relaja, las fronteras se abren, de la mañana a la noche desaparecen los barbijos y en principio todo vuelve a una normalidad. El movimiento trabaja por lo bajo, no presenta síntomas y se propaga a gran velocidad. Es un embrujo que dejó la humanidad del pasado. Entonces un día, como profecía, como prueba fehaciente de que todo este conceptualismo abstracto, dialéctica positiva, negativa, crítica, moderna, rudimentaria, humanocentrista, machista, tecnocrática, meritocrática, cartesiana, es simplemente una farsa, una ficción más. ¡Bum! 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 No necesitamos ser nada. Entramos en el azar, conectados con la osa mayor y con los muertos, con los insectos y con las vacas. Vibramos con la materia y lloramos con las formas. Bailamos con los procedimientos y volamos con los dispositivos. Ver, oler, sentir, pensar. Abrazados, miramos el pasado y reímos. ¡Qué idiotas! ¡Qué idiotas fuimos! Estoy haciendo el final. Un espacio sin personas.
Well done and welcome back, everyone. I sure hope you enjoyed those 4 transportative videos and performances, magic stuff. Joining us are Colectivo Utópico, and they're joining us from Lausanne, from Salvador de Bahia, from Amsterdam or London, I'm not sure where Iris is, and Buenos Aires. I will see your questions in the Q&A chat. So as we're using the webinar form, unfortunately, we can't all gather into the giant lobby, which would be wonderful, but instead we'll have to go this way. Applause from Lydia Dimitrov, and Imogene Ashby says, loved it, which is great. Thank you very much. Maybe I'll kick us off with the questions and ask for Igor and Tomas. You know, we've been getting to know each other over this time, and you've just had this week of creation and rehearsal. You've told me that Colectivo is all about creating community out of ephemera. Tell us about what about this process and project makes community for you?
Yeah. Can you hear us now? Yeah? Can people hear us? Yeah. So yeah, actually performance telling embodies parts of the constituent, the essence of Colectivo Utópico, in the sense that, as you said, Chris, we try to create ephemeral communities, togetherness. And as you noticed tonight, I hope you did, some of the shows were performed live from different cities in the world at the same time, from Buenos Aires. Igor and I, we were in Lausanne, and some of the other projects, video projects, were created in Salvador and in London and Amsterdam by Ira. And so already we have this sense of coming together and being and sharing, as the introduction video was saying, the same experience and the same time. So we are somehow co-present for this performance. And then we also, instead of trying to create together like one work that would somehow be the result of our conversations, we try to give voice to a polyphony, you know, like a diversity, to express the diversity that is at the core of our group. So that's why we chose the format of performance telling. This way, the collage, the juxtaposition, creates a dynamic in between the projects. There's a conversation and a community through the different ways we receive the
the original material
of forced entertainment. I saw that some of them are present tonight. Hello.
Yeah, we have the review from at least one. Tim Mitchell says hi. Back to you. Thanks all. Beautiful and strange to see. Very cool. So tell us about dealing with a performance text that is in itself. I mean, folks, if you haven't seen Ed Meeting for All yet, they're stunning. It's maybe one of the most standout of our time pandemic pieces that I've come across. Because it really gets into that fritzed brainscape that we've all been in this past year. So I really encourage you to go to forcedentertainment.com and look at those beautiful films. They are the ensemble at their best of playing out an idea and a kind of relationship over and over and over again. It's beautiful. But what was it like for you as the collective, taking this very fragmented material and then treating it again? Can you talk to us a bit about that and what it's like to use that source material? Maybe Rita, you want to say?
Yeah. First of all, it was an honor to work with the performance of Force Entertainment, because it's really something that connect us. It's deep and it's a very important performance of these times of pandemic. And then we had the experience of watching it and discussing it together and to connect with different points of view to understand what we have in common about our perception, but also what is singularity about each one of us. So it was very nice to have this experience of collaboration, because we could create by ourselves, but also exchange a lot with the other artists of Colectivo. So it was very interesting to discuss these different perspectives of the Ed Meeting for All. And it's an honor to be here today and to have Tim in the audience, because it was very, very important for us to have this experience of creating a new version, translating it, recombining it. So it was very, very important for us also.
Fantastic. Marina, can you tell us a bit about the history of Colectivo and if this is a departure for you, or does this feel like it's in line with other things that you've been doing? Can you let us know about where this sort of fits in the story of the collective, but also where this experience fits in what you're working on?
Yeah, we can do it together here with Paula. We started Colectivo in 2018, virtually somehow, because we started knowing each other virtually because of an invitation of Pro Helvetia, and we knew we wanted to work on utopia. Actually, I think we all, in a different way, had the feeling that something was really not working good. I mean, politically, worldwide. And so we were thinking about utopia, and we noticed that actually utopia, working together, we noticed that utopia is already a concept that is a very Western concept, and then that is something that is always something after. I mean, there is always a world after our world to be used, so I think we started thinking about how can we be together in this, in different heterogenic ways.
How can I be a community? How can share and exchange with different background and different cultures? And for that reason, we made different residencies, and each of these have different focus in Bahia and Buenos Aires, virtual residencies. And now we have this invitation from Igor and Tomas to work again together and have a new opportunity to performance telling.
So performance telling, actually we did one performance telling live in Buenos Aires about a performance that was running here, and then we love this idea of being able to, I mean, to keep the fire of a story like burning, but in different ways. And this was like the start. And also not everybody can go to the theater, not at that time. So for us, this time was very exciting to test, okay, I mean, the value of theater is already a different one than 1.5 years ago. And so this is our first virtual performance telling, and it's already different because and meeting for all is available. So now we are really like parasiting it, yeah. and really working with what of that work goes through us and what do we want to keep burning, like to.
And that's part of this, the virtual residency, is that initially, so Pro Helvetia, for those of you who don't know, is the Swiss funder that helps Swiss artists export themselves internationally, very, very much like our British Council. And part of this virtual residency has been that they can't get artists to Edinburgh, or couldn't in 2020. So it was designed to connect them more with the UK scene. And we've connected them with a real leader in the independent scene, which is Ira Brand. Ira, what has it been like coming into this international collective that has very clearly a performance language, but also an intellectual language and a conversation that's really it's really rich and fertile. What was it like coming into that conversation in medias res?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think this notion of even being a guest in a process like this, or a guest invited into a thing like this, is really interesting, because I think as a guest, you're kind of, on the one hand, you're expecting to be hosted to some degree. And on the other hand, you're kind of on good behavior, or like trying to understand the existing contexts and conventions perhaps, and try and understand them as quickly as possible, and then either adapt yourself to them or not. It was like super fun, I suppose, just like quite easy. I was in Brazil 2 years ago now, maybe, so we have all met briefly in the real world, and I think that helped because it was not like complete strangers, but we weren't working together. But the other thing that I just personally like, I love, I find sort of the familiarity of collectives or longer standing collaborations like incredibly inspiring and kind of satisfying and pleasing. And I think that's also one of the reasons I like the work of forced entertainment, for example, because exactly like you said, you feel this kind of history of working together. And I think that's the same here. I mean, you guys haven't been working for 35 years yet, right? Was that? Not quite, but like, on some level, just sort of trusting that there's already some really established grounding, some conversation on the go that you can allow yourself to kind of drop into and be held by. I don't know if that makes sense, but like.
Yeah, makes loads of sense. We have a question from David Phillip, who has a question which needs a bit of explanation. Hello, David, how are you, my friend? Are you there? Can you unmute your microphone, David? He's tuning in. He's not quite there yet, David.
Hello there. Am I there yet?
You're there. Oh, hi, David.
Oh my God. Thanks, Chris. You know, it's all a bit too technological for me. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, you're doing great.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. You're all right. You're looking well.
Thanks.
Good. Just what I want to say is that at the beginning of this, I quite started to think that I don't quite know what I'm seeing here. And then I started to write down notes, as you know I do. And I wrote down things like mute on and off, and I feel that I'm talking and nobody's listening. And the one that really hit me was I miss human touch. And I'm just wondering from the teams there, to what extent is this performance a reaction to the pandemic, or that the performance itself was molded around the tools that we've been using during the last year to communicate with each other? That's why it's a bit more than a simple question, Chris.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Who would like to answer, David?
Maybe I can try to give a few elements of answer. So I think both actually. Of course, the source material and Meeting for All is already somehow dealing with those issues, about the lack of communication and the loneliness somehow, those 6 characters not being able to interact with one another. But at the same time, the process, the fact of doing performance telling in a digital way, trying to connect ourselves, because we were supposed to do it live. So it really made sense because it echoed in some way the process at the heart of and Meeting for All. So it really made sense to choose, because I saw someone else ask this question. The process can be applied to any kind of source material, but we chose and Meeting for All because somehow the way we were working for this residency made sense to apply to and Meeting for All. Did I answer somehow your question? I'm not so.
Yeah, I think so. It's just
or maybe
can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
To me, performance is about what it's slightly selfish. What do I get out of it? How has it provoked me to think about what's happening? And I've been not just in shielding as well for a year, and all the things that were coming out said to me, hey, I can relate to that. Now, within a performance, relating to it, I think really helps. And I had not really thought about using a digital platform in the way you have to kind of say, hey, we recognize what you're going through, right? And we can convey that concept to you via, in inverted commas, theatre. Do you see what I'm getting at there?
Yeah, that was part of our conversation while creating the piece also. How is it going for you in Brazil at the moment? How is it going for you in Argentina?
Yeah.
And always trying to see what was everyone going through. And we tried somehow to anchor each of the project into the context of the country in which it was produced.
And at the same time, I think it's also a consequence of choosing and Meeting for All, which deals with all these questions already.
Okay, well, I thank you so much for answering that. I mean, I think this is in development progress, isn't it? So I really look forward to seeing it. I'd like to see it again, because my perspective at the end was different from my perspective at the beginning. So thank you very much.
It's always a good sign.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Be well. We have a question next from Cedric EE. And while we wait for Cedric to dial in, some words from Kieran Swan, who says, gorge work, congrats, Ira and all. And Paula de Renoir from Recife, who says, I loved all works, thanks. Felipe e Rita, voces, arasaram. So you've got a fan. Cedric, are you there? Dear Cedric, we need you to unmute your microphone and then we can hear you. Maybe while we wait for Cedric, there's a question from Amber, who wants to know how the forced entertainment show was chosen as the source text. Was there something about this show that particularly inspired it, or could performance telling happen with any show? Felipe, do you want to answer that?
No, my English is so bad. I pass to Rita.
Okay, very well.
But yeah, it's not so bad. It's also about translation. So it's our experience all the time to keep changing different languages and exchanging culture of reference. So it's not a problem. But yeah, I think that Thomas was introducing this point when he talked a little bit about this connection between the situation in which and Meeting for All was created, that already brings some elements of the situation that we are living just now, because we are working together in this digital way in a virtual residency. And as Igor said, it was supposed to be a presential experience. We were supposed to be in a presential residence right now, but it is very interesting to connect with this specifically work. But on the other hand, besides, the proceed of performance telling has started in the Argentine residency. So it was about another work. So we are trying to investigate the proceed and how it can be done with different works, with different references, and to put us together in this kind of experience of community of different points of view, and where we can recognize ourselves in different ways, but also connected. So performance telling is a kind of dispositive to make this community together too. So it's very interesting to maybe try with different works.
Great, thank you. A comment from Noah Volker: having watched the source material back in April and now this, my first thought that this felt like a remix album, taking components from the original and using them to take off in different riffs and directions, but still touching back to the original material, which is not something I've seen in a performance before. Really great, thank you. Marina and Paula, do you have anything to say about that kind of notion of remixing, or have we kind of covered that universe?
About the remake, I wanted to say before that it's when back in April, a character in End Meeting for All was imagining and pretending she would be 1 year and 1 day in quarantine, and we are already that time in quarantine. So somehow the remake and the time, adds some other layers to also what now like digital theater can be, because
it's about recycling some materials and have some some kind of make a copy, a paste, and make a remake and put your vision in the middle, but mix it all the tools about it. It's not one thing, it's more free, the procediment for us.
We also think a lot about ecology. The all the airs you can use. So now, also a kind of a copy left, at least in between our group, but we think it's I think it's time to really use the ideas and the materials for different for a better living. I don't know how to tell it, and not to say, okay, this work is their work, or and really be closed, but really making theater as something that we can share. And maybe theater, it goes out of the theater spaces, but it goes in the communities. This is another way of sharing.
Maybe just to add a few things. Yeah, it's true what Marina was saying. We talked a lot about parasitism and recycling, and how somehow the authorship of a piece can be somehow recycled, and the source material as well. Is it parasitism? How can we create from what someone else has developed? It was in our talks indeed.
Right.
And maybe just something I wanted to add. Also, usually the reception is possessed by the critic and the audience, and we also thought a lot about how we could use our reception of original works as a drive for creation.
Great. And what's next for these works and for you? Ira, what do you think? What do you think you'll take from this into your practice next?
Well, now that I know I can improvise with myself for hours on end. Yeah, that's a good question. I think actually, genuinely, my answer to that is what I really enjoyed about this process was it was quite fast, and there was a very clear input, and this kind of forced me to make some quite quick decisions about a form and then sort of run with it. And I found that really freeing, and it really kind of opened up some, like a really pleasurable process where I was not so, I mean, of course, in the end, I was tweaking a lot and trying to make something that I felt happy with, but in some ways I was really just kind of doing and not thinking so much, but in a really positive way. Like I was not so fixated on the end product, I suppose, also because I knew it was going to be presented in this kind of in progress and supported by these other works, and that would have its own journey anyway. So I feel like that's something I would like to hold on to, this kind of, like slightly freer, more joyous, pleasurable way of working, particularly right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that what you're saying about working with kind of speed and a rhythm, I think is really important right now, because it's not over yet, right? I mean, here in the UK, we've had our announcement that we've got a nightclub, a date in the nightclubs on the 21st of June, but let's see where that goes. And I think it's really different all over the world. So I can just imagine for you as artists to have that ability to make something and go for it. Must have been nice. Claire Marshall says, thanks for being fantastic parasites and for messing with and burning up End Meeting. XO Claire. So you've done well by the source material, it sounds like there. Is there it's been so great to catch up with you all, and it looks like some of you've got some sunshine to enjoy, and the others maybe a theater to pack up. Is there anything else you'd love to tell us about Colectivo and where you're going next, so that people can follow you and keep track of your work?
Maybe just, we have a website, collectivoutopico.com. So maybe if people want to follow us there. Otherwise, we are still supposed to meet in Switzerland this summer, over the summer. So we hope it's going to happen to finish this cycle of residencies and to present our work in Lausanne, normally. Performance telling, normally, during Festival de la Cité.
Fantastic. So there's an excuse to hop over into the Schengen zone, put your UK passport to good use, get it stamped, and check out Colectivo during Festival de la Cité in Lausanne. It's really wonderful. Thank you all for your wonderful work. Thanks to everyone who popped in. Cedric, sorry we didn't get your question, but maybe you can follow up via email. Thank you to Aunt Roberts, who said brilliant work and who's going to put some cash in the kitty. Hey, we like that. Thanks for a great event, and thanks and thank yous from Pro Helvetia again. And you're getting thank yous from all over the world. There's Matthew Austin from Bristol and everyone else. So big love to you all. Thanks very much, and stay tuned to Colectivo, to Ira Brand, and to liftfestival.com. Talk to you soon. Have a good night.